Hey guys, this is Alex from the Always Football podcast. I am joined by my co-host Cameron. Alongside us, we also have a very special guest, our good friend Jake. How are you boys doing tonight?
I'm doing great, Alex. Very excited for this podcast as always. Very excited for this football game as always. Week 2 is coming up, so let's talk about it, yeah?
I'm doing great. Ready to start talking about this second week of football.
Indeed, guys. So for this week's episode of Prime Time Preview, we're going to be discussing the Thursday night football game between the Washington football team and the New York Giants. Cameron, would you like to start us off? What are your keys to victory?
Come on, man. I want to start us off. I want to talk about the New York football Giants real quick. Watched that team collapse against the Denver Broncos last week. You don't have Evan Ingram, and as of now, it's Wednesday, so I don't know what's happening on Thursday, but Saquon Barkley is questionable. So that's going to be some really big key factors coming into this one. I think the first thing you want to focus on is that run game. Like last week, Daniel Jones led the team in rushing with 27 yards. And that's pathetic. It's already not a very good look for your running back core if your quarterback is leading the team in rushing. The running back core, like in general, had 33 yards and 14 carries. Just an awful, awful day running the ball for them. For me, I'm going to say you got to get Barkley involved. I mean, this man is a stud when he is playing and when he is getting involved. So, yeah, first key is going to get Barkley involved. He had 27 total yards last week and 10 rushes and a catch. Just hand the ball off more and give it to Barkley. My second thing, I got to talk about that passing game. Daniel Jones really didn't have as bad of a game as people might think. I mean, he completed 60% of his passes for 267 yards and a touchdown. Sterling Shepard went off too. I mean, of all people, 7 receptions, 113 yards and a touchdown. And Slayton and Galladay both did great, both getting 60-plus yards. I mean, this is a very, very strong receiving core. You have to utilize it. So my second key is just going to keep the passing game in the game plan like last week. Daniel Jones had no interceptions, and he just has so many options to throw it to. So for sure you want to talk about that. And then that defense back there. Xavier McKinney had 2 pass deflections and 3 tackles. This is the sophomore guy that was drafted last year, missed a lot of time due to injuries. He did pretty good in his week 1 debut. So I was very happy to see that. But, this defense, they got to step up on the pass. Teddy Bridgewater completed 21 of his 23 passes that were under 20 yards. There was no short-range defense at all. You have to work on that. And the run defense was absolutely awful. They allowed Melvin Gordon just to run all over them without a problem. And they only had 2 sacks and 6 QB hits as a combined team with that strong D-line. So my third key for that Giants team is going to be pressure that new QB that's coming in. And you got to watch the short routes. And then for Washington, Ryan Fitz'Magic's out. So you have Taylor Heinicke coming in. And that man, when he came in, did pretty good last week. 11 for 15, 122 yards and a touchdown, and not a single interception. Really good for a guy coming off the bench. He's able to air it out and throw short passes. When you look at the next gen stats, he's all these throws he were making were just perfectly on target. And I think that's going to be a big thing coming up. You got McLaurin, you got Logan Thomas. Those guys both caught all of their passes. McLaurin was targeted 4 times, caught it all 4 times. Thomas targeted 3 times, caught it all 3 times. So my first key for that Washington team is going to be utilize Logan Thomas and Scary Terry's skills. I mean, you have a great receiving core that's about to go against an awful Giants passing defense. You got to utilize that. My second thing for them, you got the run game. Antonio Gibson. Yeah, he fumbled 2 times last week and lost it once, but he also put 90 yards up in 2 carries against Joey Bosa D-line. Now, you got a stronger D-line here in Washington, but you're going against the Giants, so there's no concern here. If you're able to run like that against the D-line with Joey Bosa on it, there should be no problem for Gibson. And then even Heinicke. I mean, he proved in his wild card game against the Bucs that he can run. And even looking at it, he hit the top speed of the game last week, running 20 miles per hour at one point on one of his rushes. And the Giants, a big thing I think about the Giants, how they played last week, is they allowed 121 yards of the 165 rushing yards to the right side. So my second key for this football team is going to be run all over this weak defense and attack that right side of the ball because they're not looking good over there. And then my third thing, got to talk about this defense. I mean, come on. The football team's defense, one of the best in the league. This defense is very strong, but the defensive line only had 2 sacks last game. You know, you got Jonathan Allen, you got Chase Young. I mean, you have a good team. You just got to get to the quarterback. You know, they had the interception and 4 pass deflections last week. So really, if you can keep that energy and that same strength against this giant, strong wide receiver core, you should be fine. So that's my second key. That's my third key for them, Alex.
Yeah, so I'm going to piggyback off of what you said. I'll start with Washington. So for their keys to victory, like you mentioned, the 2 guys, Terry McLaurin and Antonio Gibson, they combined for 198 total yards of offense against the Chargers, which was obviously most of Washington's yards. So I think you really want to feed them this game. You got to take the pressure off of Taylor Heinicke. Yes, he did have a fantastic game coming in relief for Fitzpatrick, but he's still new. He's still the new starting quarterback. So, and New York's going to come with some pressure. So, you're just going to want to, keep him. Just take the pressure off him. So you feed your 2 top guys, Antonio Gibson, Terry McLaurin, get them going throughout the game, and let them lead your offense. And then on the other side of it, the defense, like you said, that defense is incredible. You're talking about, Montez Sweat, Chase Young, Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, all these guys coming and attacking you, attacking for your defense. So I think it's just you got to be aggressive up front against the Giants. Just blitz, man. I don't care how much you blitz, honestly. You could blitz 50% of the time. I think you'd be successful against the Giants. You just want to pressure Daniel Jones. You mentioned Saquon Barkley being questionable, and it does seem like he is trending in the wrong direction. It looks like he won't play. So you attack Daniel Jones. They're not going to have a running game. We saw that last week. Devontae Booker is certainly not going to carry the load for them. So just blitz the heck out of Daniel Jones, really. Keep him uncomfortable. And, that's definitely the key on the defensive end. For the Giants, I'm going to talk about the same thing pretty much. You're going to want to just keep the Washington football team's defensive line quiet if you can manage that. Last year, that front 4, those top 4 guys recorded 21.5 sacks, 34 QB hits as a unit. So if you can keep those guys quiet and contain them and let Daniel Jones, play his game in the pocket and survey the field and let him make the throws he can make, you'll be all right. And another piece of that would be on the offensive end would be I think this is a sneaky little key. I think it's getting Kadarius Toney involved in this game. We're talking about the 20th overall draft pick in this past draft, the wide receiver out of Florida. If you do not have Saquon in this football game, you're going to want to utilize this guy. He's a gadget player. He's like Tariq Cohen in a sense. Utilize him in the passing game, get him some quick passes, whatever. Get him some underneath, use him in the screens, whatever. Even play him in the backfield as a running back. I think you'll have a lot of success in any of those departments, and it just will just overall it will just throw off the Washington defense. They're not going to be expecting any of it. So, I think it's getting Kadarius Toney involved. What about you, Jake?
So I'm going to start with the Giants as well. I think the main thing that they need to do is probably protect Daniel Jones. I mean, they don't really have a running game, as we saw last week. And then as for, Saquon Barkley, we don't really know what's going on. They limited his reps last week. They're limiting his reps in practice now. And as we said, he might not even be playing. We'll see what happens. But even if he doesn't play, I mean, they don't really have a run game. So they definitely have to protect Daniel Jones as much as possible because, you got Chase Young and Montez Sweat coming off of the edge on the other side. That's scary. It's going to be hard for him. And then on the defensive side, they definitely need to focus mainly on Terry McLaurin and Antonio Gibson. Obviously, Gibson had those 2 fumbles last week, but like you said, he had a pretty big game other than that. So he could definitely cause a lot of issues. And then obviously we know how Terry McLaurin is. Dude's fast. He has great route running, great hands. He could do whatever he wants if you let him. Now on Washington's side, obviously, again they have Chase Young and Montez Sweat coming after Daniel Jones. They don't have a run game, so it really could be pretty easy game for Washington as long as they continue to get that pressure applied to Daniel Jones. And then obviously with Antonio Gibson, probably just as long as he controls his fumbles and keeps doing what he's doing, I think they'll be fine. I think Washington runs away with this game.
Absolutely, everybody here. I think we all made great points. So I'm just gonna jump right into my game, my score line and my prediction. I'm gonna take Washington in this game, 24-15 over the Giants. I think that the Washington front four, that defensive line is just going to be too much for Daniel Jones, especially if Saquon is out. He's not going to have, it's not going to be a balanced football game on the offensive end for New York. So I think Washington will take this one, but I think it will be a close game. Cameron, what do you think? Who do you got in tomorrow night's game?
Yeah, I'll take it from here, Alex. Really for me, I like this Washington team. And I like this Giants team maybe a little too much. I mean, as a Cowboys fan, I'm a big fan of New York and Washington. But for me, I'm gonna agree with you. I'm gonna have to take Washington here. I got them beating the Giants 27-20. It could be a little closer. But yeah, no, I have to side with Washington here. All the points, all the signs point towards them. Jake, what are you thinking, man?
I'm gonna pick Washington 24-13. I just don't think that. Without, especially if Saquon Barkley's not in, I don't think that the Giants are going to be able to get too much going, and especially with Chase Young and Montez Sweat, Deron Payne, all of them guys coming at them play after play. I don't think the Giants are going to be able to do too much.
Yeah, so it looks like we're all siding with Washington on this one, a 3-0 sweep. So if you guys did enjoy tonight's episode of Primetime Preview, please do subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube, and follow us on Instagram if that's where you're viewing it, of course. Leave a like on both platforms. Turn on notifications. Do all that. And yeah, that's it. Enjoy the Thursday night football game. Huge thanks to Jake for joining us. And have a good night, guys.